Hi there. Thank you for tuning in to Grow Your Gifts. Today I'm going to do no notes because today is a topic that is very near and dear to me, and we'll see how it goes. So, yeah, let's learn to love water. Um, yeah, when I started my journey about what that meant to how to learn to love water, I'm talking specifically about drinking water or, just being hydrated, basically. So, adequately hydrated, not overly hydrated, but also the love for water. So, connecting within yourself, like what that does for you. And everyone's different. It's not one size fits all. You gotta work with it, tweak it, whatever works for you. I'm just hoping that whatever I share with my personal journey with this can be helpful in some way. So, in the beginning, when, as far back as I can remember, I never liked water. I never liked drinking water. I didn't like the taste of it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so bland. Bleh. I don't know why. I was just like not into drinking water. Unless I just did some physical activity, then I would be like, chug a whole bottle. So you see my patterns. I go from one extreme to the other. That's how I used to learn. Don't have to do that anymore, but it was fun while it lasted, and it also really was exhausting. But anyway, I digress. It was the same thing with like plain rice with me. I needed, my sister used to call me a flavor junkie. I needed soy sauce on everything and relish and ketchup and mustard and fully loaded. It's like I would make my own version of my own poutine when I was little, at the cafeteria. So, yeah, really was into Flavor Town excessively when I was younger. But maybe, there's so much involved. I'm not going to put myself down. Maybe there's like some taste buds or who knows, right? There's just so many factors. Emotionally, what was I searching for, mentally, all these different things. But that resulted in me not liking water at all, getting hooked on coffee by, I don't know, whenever German class started in grade 8, however old you are, it's grade 8, grade 9, something like that. And yeah, a teenager having way too much coffee. It's like, this tastes good. And just stuff like that. I wasn't into pop, thank goodness. It was just too fizzy for me, and I was really sensitive to that carbonation. And it was really, like, I loved candy, but it was just too sweet. But I could see the appeal. It's always in those Coca-Cola bottles, so I feel ya with the Coca-Cola drinks and all of that. I used to love root beer, cream soda. I know I'm trying to get you into water, but meanwhile I'm talking about all these cherry cola delicious drinks, which I don't find appealing anymore, but that's a whole other story. And I'm just saying I can relate if that's what you're into now. I get it. Um, yeah, this is a judgment-free space. So going from not liking water at all to, um, now I love it. I'll give a quick thing. I came across a comedian was doing this bit about Burlington, Vermont, and he went into the market store that they have, walked up to the counter, where they're selling like all these fresh juices and smoothies and everything, and this lady is just like enjoying her beverage so much, and she's just like relishing it so much, and just like, so good. And he's like, wow, I want what she's having. I wonder what that is. And he goes up to her and asks her, like, so what are you drinking? She's like, water. Oh my gosh, so good. So yeah, that was Chris Fleming. Check him out if he's your cup of tea or not. But I definitely love his style of comedy and all his hard work with his creativity and his show Gale. Oh my gosh, I have cried laughing with all of his amazing comedy. So if that's your thing, check out Chris Fleming. I do not work for him. I'm just a big fan of what he does for a living. Really, really good. So yeah, water. And that's how I feel about water now. Like, oh, so good. So how did I get from like there to there? um, it was a lot of work, I gotta tell you. So yeah, not one size fits all. Just throwing things out there. Whatever sticks, sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. No hard feelings. So from the get-go, I had to first accept the fact that I was dehydrated. Beyond that, I was having, double espressos and things like that. I couldn't do energy drinks. Thank goodness my body was like, no, you can't do that. You feel like you're dying. Just don't do it. I was like, okay, thanks, body. And I looked up the ingredients. So, yeah, not for me. Again, no judgment. But I did try the Monster drink. I was like, ooh, it's tasty. But then the after effects were like, ah. So, I digress. What was I saying? Yes, water. So water, the lifeblood of absolutely everything. And I was so against it. So I would drink like those, I was really cheap as well, so I would get those frozen juice things that were like 97 cents and mix that with water. And I'd be like, I'm drinking water. It's, fruit juice and water. But I realized too, like that wasn't the best. I have to at some point learn to drink straight water. And it was a lot of work and prep and like always making sure I had my bottles of fruit juice, and it got out of hand. So what I started doing when I finally accepted that, yeah, I have a problem here, and I need to learn how to love water. I see everyone else drinking it, and it seems like a non-issue for them. So what's my deal? I don't know. And by the way, I love plain rice now. You put like a little bit of ghee and a little bit of salt and a little squeeze of lemon. Oh, I love plain rice. Anyways, my tastes have completely changed. My taste buds, it's like they've come back to life, thank goodness. So what I started doing, first I got a really big bottle. And actually, no, let's rewind even before that, because I have found that when I try to force myself into, having water, even like small sips, I couldn't, like, I went backwards, and I went more into my other beverages that were actually dehydrating me. So forcing myself did not work for me at all. So what I actually had to do was keep drinking what I was drinking, whatever beverage that was, and add more water. Like for example, I would definitely get my bigger cups and like add more water or milk or almond milk or oat milk or whatever to my coffee, to my tea that I loved. And I had no concept of like herbal teas other than mint tea for my belly. And sometimes I would have like some loose leaf tea, for PMS symptoms and things like that. But I really, herbal teas were just like some fancy thing out there. And again, like not in my budget. Of course, I was spending all that money on other beverages that were dehydrating me. I won't go into detail with that, what those were, but you get the idea. So yeah, and then with my fruit juices, I would just pour this much from the jug and the rest would be my filtered water. And that's the other layer too, is like, be mindful from my limited perspective, the kind of water you're drinking, and just be mindful. The research is all out there. It's all easy for you to look up and dig deep with that and feel it out for yourself. I'm not an expert by any means in that area. I think it can be helpful to say thank you, water, and just, we've all seen that forget his name, but where it's like the pictures of the water, and the monk is meditating on peace or happiness or joy and what that looks like. And it's just been proven that your thoughts, words, feelings, they can affect everything inside you and around you. So what is it going to hurt to sort of bless your water, and just by saying thank you and appreciating that in your own way, but connecting it to your heart more and more as you can. And they did the rice experiment too, where you say good things to the jar of rice and you say mean, hurtful things to the other jar of rice, and over time that negative jar of rice starts to turn black. It's really trippy. I mean, experiment with these things for yourself. Don't take anybody, not even me, anyone's what they're saying at face value. It's really important to work with it if you want to, if you're feeling called to it, and figure out the truth for yourself, right? So yeah, I was diluting my favorite beverages as much as I could. That was step one. So basically, I learned the method of weaning myself off of drinks that I knew were dehydrating me, that I knew were not the best for me. So wean myself off of that and wean myself onto water. It was a very slow, a very arduous process, but it's also like tricking yourself in a way. Like, I'm just gonna sneak this in there. And then I also found those drops. They're like flavored drops. I'm very not into like toxic anything. So I like look up every ingredient in things and try to get the most, even if it costs a little extra, but the most clean kind of products, especially if I'm putting it in my body system, even though at that time I was all over the map with that. Anyways, so yeah, those drops really helped me, especially at work. So I would have my water bottle and I just put some of those drops. So I would flavor the water with those drops. It was just very easy. I had no excuse. There was no like extra work or anything. I just had to remember to, buy it from the grocery store. I put it on my list, my shopping list. And it wasn't the best taste. Like, it had a weird aftertaste for me, but it tasted way better than bland, boring water to me at that time. So I just kept doing that. And I was focusing on other, toxic habits at the time. So I was using those tools as well, which was like keep your mouth busy. And that really helps for people who kind of have like this oral fixation thing for something. I don't know, maybe from, when they were babies even. Like, if you were given a pacifier a lot of the times, you get used to it, and then you need to keep your mouth busy. I don't know. It's just one example. I really don't know about it. I just try to put two and two together here. But that really helped me, because if I was eating an apple every day, that means during that time I'm not drinking those sugary drinks or that double espresso. So I did that. I had celery sticks a lot. What else? Like ice cold water sometimes would just like help, I don't know, shock my system or something. And it tasted completely different. So, you play with the temperature of the waters too. If you prefer some, warm water from the kettle, that kind of thing, with some lemon and honey. Who doesn't like that? So good. And chamomile tea, like that's an easy one. Chamomile tea, let it brew for 10 minutes, and with some honey and a squeeze of lemon. Oh my gosh, it's so good, especially before bed, or if you love to sing. It helps the throat so much. Yeah, so that was favorite for me. So I started including my favorite things. I love apples, I love celery, and you should start to make a list of, because it's like a battle, okay? If you're dehydrated, you're already lost half the battle. Sorry, but that's usually the case. It really helps with your emotional regulation of emotions, like all these different things. Like, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I felt it. I felt the difference, when I compared this year to that year, years later. and I journal a lot too, so I could really kind of see my own data and see it for myself, which was really cool. So all my favorites, and then it's like when you start doing these things, you start getting more ideas from who knows where. So that's what was happening for me, and I really loved it. So spa water started coming into my field of vision, things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love spa water. And when I used to drink alcohol, I used to make amazing sangria. Like everybody was like, your sangria is the best. And I used to make, like a virgin sangria for my mom because she doesn't drink. And it's like, oh my gosh, why don't I just do that like once a week and even once a month, and no alcohol. And so I got into spa water and making virgin sangria and things like that uh, you're invested in those dollar store, maybe they're $3 or $4, but proper jugs that I enjoy drinking out of, and maybe like a fancy glass, sturdy fancy glass that I enjoy drinking out of. I can't do wine glasses or champagne glasses. They will break in an instant. I don't know why. It just turns into butter. So I need sturdy glasses or mug. Um, so yeah, it became more fun as well. Um, and then I also love fruit and different kinds of fruit. So finding the most hydrating fruits that contain a lot of water, like watermelon. Um, there's so many. There's a whole list. You can just look it up. But also you'll have your favorites. A lot of people don't like watermelon. So you see what are your favorites that guaranteed that if you buy it, you will have it. And my sister actually gave me a really good tip. She was like, table grapes. I was like, what are table grapes? She's like, you just buy your grapes, give them a good wash, put them in a container with a lid on it, and leave them on your table. So, you're just watching TV and you're like, oh, I'm so snacky, or oh, I'm so thirsty, or oh, I want a beer. And then you're like, oh, table grapes. You just open the lid, they're nice and fresh, and you just munch on those, and they're hydrating. So you can see I came at it from all these different angles. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff, but it was an uphill battle. So I felt like I had to, learn how to reset my system and get to the bottom of like, what is this about? So, I mean, that always for me had to do with some sort of, disconnection and numbness and that pattern. But that was me, that was my journey. And once I started to feel like less inflammation, less water weight, less dry skin, like just so many benefits. I can't say for sure this is from that, but I got the general feeling, the general sense, and the general like observation that this is benefiting me so much more than whatever else I was drinking. So I do love coffee, but because I definitely abused my relationship with coffee to the point where like I was getting heart palpitations, like I was just drinking way too much and way too often. So that was not a healthy relationship for me with coffee. I, purposely decided to take a year off of coffee and just work on my self-discipline with that and say, I don't need this, and I then invested that money that I wasn't spending on that into like special teas. So like rooibos tea and chaga tea and mushroom, and these are very similar tasting coffee flavors, but not coffee. So that year turned into 2 years of no coffee, and I was like feeling amazing. Can't even tell you. So then I was like, okay, I think I've finally gotten a handle on this. And keep in mind, with all these changes I keep telling y'all about, I always had a lengthy and horrible period of withdrawals, okay? So just keep that in mind. It's part of your body letting go of whatever it was used to, right? And your mind and your emotions and spiritually everything. There's always going to be a transition phase. You see that with kids. You see it with everything. Nature, going into different seasons, there's always a transition. So withdrawals are not fun, but if you, again, look it up and just see what are you sensitive to and be prepared and give yourself the time and space and the personal space that you need to go through what you need to go through in order to adjust to this, weaning off, weaning on to water or whatever it is. I think that really helps cushion it. It's important to kind of provide that cozy corner for your own journey as well, like you do with children. So metaphorically and all of that. Just thinking, what else? So yeah, I weaned off, I weaned on. Oh, and then I got into herbal teas, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm already using, I have my whole food list, I have my menu planning. I've been blessed with so many awesome guides and people in my life. People who are by no means perfect and have their own stuff going on. But oh my gosh, how they helped me with stuff that has worked for them. And I got to try it for myself and be like, this is working for me. Making a weekly menu plan and then going grocery shopping and simplifying my life in that regard. So I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. I'm ready. I have a strong foundation and self-discipline, enough self-discipline, let's be honest, to now start becoming a herbal tea person. So I learned that food is my medicine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I also really, 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 really enjoy food. Maybe a little too much. But yeah, it's just a constant love affair. And now it's like that with drinks too, that are nourishing and hydrating and have medicinal properties. So I, write everything down because I don't trust myself to remember all the things. And it's just so much easier to be like, oh, I have cramps. Okay, what tea is best for that? I just have a quick little list legend that helps me. And then slowly, I start to get used to, oh, okay, I'm feeling like this. Maybe I should have this tea, or maybe I should have that tea. So yeah, I got into nettle tea, oat straw tea, hibiscus tea in the summer, mixed with other things I want to put in there. I mean, these are medicinal herbal teas. You have to be careful. Made the mistake. I was drinking fennel tea after fennel tea after fennel tea, and I was like, oh no, I don't feel so good. So going to the washroom a lot, it was like, oh, and then my dad's like, yeah, you know fennel tea is a diuretic? I was like, what's that? So really be careful with medicinal and herbal teas, and with water too. There is such a thing as drinking too much water. So I have noticed, just working in the childcare center, the more I was working on my own hydration, I was on top of it with the children too. And my coworkers were picking up on it too. Like, what? Why is Miss Emma filling all the sippy cups and bringing them outside to the playground? I'm like, this is where they're, exercising. They're getting a lot of their gross motor play. Like, this bug likes my eyeballs for some reason. No thanks. And so it's, and with being a physical literacy site lead, that was really important too. And your mouth gets dry when you're playing like that so much. So especially in the summertime, it is really helpful, I think, to bring their sippy cups outside with some nice fresh water. Always check with your doctor and things like that, and for your child's age and body type and things, what is the recommended daily dose for them. So you don't want to give too much water, but you also don't want to have not enough. So yeah, it's not that complicated though. It's pretty straightforward. You'll find your way, and if your child is old enough to sort of communicate and you can observe how they're feeling as well, then it makes it much easier to see that, oh, maybe they need to be drinking way more water than I thought. And then you can double check with your child's doctor and things like that. Because there's a lot of factors at play. It's not like a magic cure. There's no magic cure, okay? I'm sorry. So, but I feel like water just really, really helps. And that's the trick I use with school-age children. I mean, it's not a trick. It's just, I feel like they really, preteens, teenagers, they respond to kind of logical reasoning sometimes. So they'll bring their water bottle with them everywhere, but I literally never see them take a sip. You know, meanwhile, I'm driving them here, driving them there, taking them to, you know, after school activities and things. And it's like, so your water bottle's just there for decoration or, you know? So your mom like washes it for you every day, puts clean, fresh water for you multiple times a day, and it just stays full. So I ask them, I say, okay, the planet is mostly water, right? And they're like, yeah. I don't know, okay, your body is mostly water, right? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't actually know, but I'm guessing. That's what I heard, and that's what they've heard. So we're on the same page. And so doesn't it make sense to drink water like often? So uh, they're like, yeah, actually it does. So, you know, I think it does get through to them a little bit. And mostly what I found is modeling. Even with the really young children, when I was on top of my hydration game in the classroom, the other kids too were like, oh, maybe I want my water too. Like, they're like, maybe I want this. Like, you just forget about it. And, you know, you got juice boxes on your mind or whatever at toddler age or preschool age. But when you see, you know, the adults around you mindfully being like, oh yeah, my water. So good. That's the stuff, you know? With water. I mean, that's good. That's really impactful, I find, that stays with you as a child, and then that's something that really helps and supports you as you're growing and developing as well. So, yeah, that's my love story with water. I'm sure I'll think of more at some other time. But that's it for now. Signing off, and I wish you well. Cheers.